There are millions of simulated universes, and only one real one. What are the odds that we are the original? The math says it's almost zero. Welcome to simulation theory. To take this seriously, we don't start with science fiction, we start with a graph. In 1965, an engineer named Gordon Moore noticed something. The number of transistors you could fit on a chip was doubling roughly every 2 years. We call it Moore's Law, and for half a century it held. That word, exponential, is the whole thing. Our brains are built to think in straight lines. Exponential growth doesn't move in a straight line, it explodes. A computer that fit in a warehouse in 1970 now fits in your pocket, and the one in your pocket is millions of times more powerful. So play it forward, not 1,000 years. Just keep the curve going. At some point, simulating a single human mind, every neuron, every memory, every flicker of doubt stops being impossible and starts being trivial, a background process, something a future kid runs for a school project. And once it's trivial, it gets run a lot. That's the setup. Now here's where it gets serious. In 2003, a philosopher at Oxford named Nick Bostrom wrote this idea down properly, and he didn't claim we are in a simulation. He did something more clever and harder to escape. He said, at least one of these three things has to be true. 1. Civilizations almost always wipe themselves out before they get powerful enough to run these simulations. We never make it that far. 2. They do make it, but advanced civilizations simply lose interest. Nobody bothers simulating ancestors ever. 3. Civilizations make it, and they do run these simulations, in which case there are billions of simulated minds for every one real mind, and you are almost certainly one of the simulated ones. Look at those 3 doors. To believe you're in base reality, you have to bet that humanity is doomed or that every future civilization gets bored of playing God. Door 3 doesn't require any of that. It just requires the curve to keep going. That's why it's so hard to shake. It's not a belief, it's a probability. Okay, but that's all math. If we were really living inside a render, wouldn't there be cracks, glitches, tells? Here's where it gets uncomfortable, because some people look at the laws of physics and see exactly that. Take the double-slit experiment. Fire tiny particles at a wall with 2 slits, and when nobody's measuring, each particle behaves like a wave, passing through both slits at once, existing as a spread of possibilities. But the instant you measure it, the instant the system is observed, it snaps into one definite position, one state, one pixel, if you like. Now, this is the parallel people love to draw, and it's worth being honest that physicists don't think it literally proves anything. Observation in quantum mechanics means interaction, not a conscious viewer. But you have to admit the resemblance is eerie, because that is exactly how a video game engine saves memory. It doesn't render the whole world all the time. It renders what the player is looking at. Turn around, and the room behind you stops existing until you turn back. And it doesn't stop there. Space might not be smooth. Zoom in far enough and you hit the Planck length, the smallest distance that has any meaning in physics. Below it, the question, how far, stops making sense. Almost like a resolution limit, a smallest pixel. And there's a hard speed limit baked into reality. The speed of light. Nothing goes faster. No information, ever. Which is strange. Unless you think of it as a processing cap. The maximum rate the system can update before it falls behind. A frame rate for the universe. None of this is proof. But notice how every law of physics we just listed would also be a sensible optimization if you were trying to run a universe on limited hardware. So let's say it's true. Let's say we're the render. Here's the part nobody likes to think about. A simulation runs on a budget. Processing power isn't free, not even for gods. So what happens when we start demanding too much? When 8 billion minds all build their own simulations inside the simulation? When we try to model the very universe that's modeling us, and the recursion starts eating resources faster than the system can supply them? Maybe nothing. Maybe they just add more hardware. Or maybe there's a simpler fix. The one every developer reaches for. When a process gets too expensive, you shut it down. And then there's the quieter ending. Not a crash, not a budget cap. The creators just get bored. close the window. Move on to the next save file. If our universe is just a line of code on a server, sitting in some higher dimension, then maybe nothing we do actually matters. But here's the real paradox. If the simulation is so perfect that you can feel pain, feel joy, fall in love, and sit here, right now, asking whether you're inside a simulation, does it even matter if it's fake? Real is just a signal interpreted by your brain. The cold of that countertop was never really cold. It was always just information. It always has been, render or not. So maybe the answer isn't to escape the simulation. Maybe it's to play it like it's the only one you've got. Until next time, keep questioning your reality.